So we're back in bullish mode. Price bouncing back above 70k actually now. We did dip down last week. We had anticipated a move of some sort towards supports of 60k. I was hoping it was to stay down there for longer than like an hour. Probably didn't even manage that. But you can see here, big red candle down, big red candle back again. Did test that 60k region. Didn't quite get below 60k, but near enough. But it has gone on to break back above 70. So we're sitting just above 70k right now. We did see some obviously grayscale selling outflows out of the ETFs that was putting pressure on the market. Ethereum, obviously optimism fading around the ETF approval. That actually got very, very close to our target of 3,000 on the downside as well, but has bounced violently back above 3,600. So nearly a 20% rally off those lows. So these crypto markets are insane, right? How quickly they move. There's certainly, you blink and you miss it. So anyway, in terms of news flow, so the outflows were about 836 million between the 18th and the 21st. So that obviously put pressure. But if that was, people are saying that was potentially due to bankruptcy related outflows from the Gemini Genesis stuff out of GBTC. So outflows totaling 1.83 billion over 4 days. That's pretty rare in terms of the outflows we tend to see. We have still continued to see inflows in the ETFs, but obviously they were overwhelmed a little bit. And then Fidelity coming in stronger again. It had some quiet days and it started to pick up again yesterday. So all these things are pointing to the idea that, yes, we may have kind of seen the flushed out some weaker longs, got some like liquidation selling out the way, and we can go again basically. Right now we have got the halving coming up as well. We've got quarter end coming up. So there might be some ETF inflows that rush into it before quarter end. They may want to show some ETF holdings of Bitcoin on their reports for quarter end. So that there is definitely the potential for a pickup in inflows coming back this week. So not surprised to see a bounce in Bitcoin, and wouldn't be surprised to see a continuation and maybe even get as high as 80k this week if we do start to see those inflows pick up. Okay, BlackRock launching a tokenized fund. These guys seem pretty adamant to help grow the crypto ecosystem. So that's net good news, I would say. We said we're down to 25% probability from this guy, Eric Balchunas, the specialist at Bloomberg, not looking to, and he's saying it's actually, that's a pessimistic 25. So he doesn't really buy that it's even 25 by the sounds of it, right? So looks like we might have to push that out a bit. And that also, is kind of being reflected in what we're seeing in Ethereum vol on a relative value basis as well. It's not really trading at quite the premium that it was before. And we've already mentioned the inflows, so we don't need to go over that again. All right, jumping into the vol side of stuff. So vol-wise, we saw a huge realized vol in both directions. Obviously, 10% type moves up and down in crypto markets. Now we've got 10-day realized on Bitcoin back into the low 80s, and Ethereum got as high as 100. Implied vol didn't materially move though. So that's interesting to see. If we look at 7-day and 30-day implied, week on week hasn't done that much, right? Where you got this big shift up in realized, and it has started to drift down. Big shift in realized in Ethereum, started to pull back a little, but look, the implied just couldn't hold any sort of bid really, right? So that means there wasn't loads of fresh option buying. If anything, there was put selling and then switching into calls. So whilst there might have been a flow that was switching from puts to calls, in terms of net Vega buying, there doesn't seem to have been that much. And also we had the passing of the FOMC meeting, which was a bit of a vol reset event for all cross-asset vol. So crypto is going to probably experience some of that as well. So we think that has been a factor. Now, the divergence between implied and realized has taken vol carry deeply negative. So we do have negative carry here of about 10 vols and then nearly 20 vols on Ethereum, or 24 actually. These levels are not sustainable. So either the implied vols are going to have to recover because markets keep moving, or spot's going to have to calm down and realize it's going to come back lower. My money this week is on realized staying quite high. Because given, we could easily break the highs again. It just looks like dealers are quite short. Gamma here in terms of local strikes. And obviously if the inflows do pick up, they have quite a lot of price impact. So I don't think I would be selling a load of gamma here, right? Certainly not. You wouldn't be selling gamma here at these implied vols, given how much we've been moving. So I think the risk reward is probably better to be leaning a little bit long gamma here right now. And like I said, I think the quarter end this week might bring some of those last minute inflows. And that could be you get your volatility on the upside because the inflows reaccelerate again, right? That's definitely, I can see that potential scenario happening. Okay. In terms of term structure, not massive moves. Remaining in contango, we are seeing a little bit of a twist going on in the curve where weeklies have kind of drifted slightly lower. And then we've had a little bit of a push higher in the middle of the curve. So April's up 5 vols on Bitcoin. And then down to sort of 2 vols in May and June. Back end not doing too much. And then Ethereum, April onwards, up around 2 vols as well. Front end down, drifting slightly a vol point. So fairly small moves, but you're seeing people kind of favoring owning April stuff, not really wanting the super short dated, even though the realize has been really high. Okay. And then skew wise, we did see this big turnaround. Obviously we were in put skew last week. We've gone back to flat in the front end here. We've gone back to flat in the front end, and we've got a little bit of cool skew coming back in Ethereum front end where that's reversed by like 15 vol points, which is huge, right? So that's where we're at. Skew really showing us kind of the tell here, right now. Front end skew moved for puts before the sell-off, and then it reversed sharply, and we've continued to see a lot of strength in the market. So paying attention to skew seems to be the thing you need to do right now to try and get some sort of lead on where crypto markets want to go. Okay. Relative value, pretty stable. You can see here the whole curve, very small ETH premium in the front. Then it goes pretty much to flat. We've got 13 vol realized premium on Ethereum on a 10-day and a 5 vol. And the fact that the implieds are trading at flat shows you that no one wants Ethereum vol. No one sees a good reason to own Ethereum vol, even though it's out realizing, right? So it needs, and it's been out realizing for a while. It's realizing 5 on a 30-day basis, right? They still don't want the vol. So obviously they're expecting more volatility out of Bitcoin in the near term because of the halving, and they're expecting less volatility, or they're less interested in owning optionality now. Let me rephrase that. Yeah, they might not be expecting less volatility, but they're less interested in owning options for the ultimate Ethereum blowout to the upside, which everyone thinks is going to happen on the ETFs. They're less interested in owning that because the ETF probabilities are fading down for the May deadline, right? So I think that's why we've got this trading. So you might look at that and think that's just screaming buy and it's great value opportunity, but I'm not reading it that way. I'm reading it as the fact that Bitcoin is not trading at a discount when ETH is out realizing like this shows that Bitcoin's the stuff people want. Bitcoin vol is what people want because people think Bitcoin is where the move's going to come from. And that's going to be driven by inflows, re-accelerating and taking out the highs, and God knows where we're going to go basically, right? But that to me seems to be what this relative value spread is telling us in that it's trading here. Now the spot spread is still trading near its lows of the range. And I wouldn't actually be surprised if it broke the lows. Because if it's right that Bitcoin drives the next leg higher and we break through the highs, Ethereum won't necessarily have as much velocity on the upside because it won't be being driven by flows. It might get dragged up a bit in sympathy, but I think it will have arguably less beta. And then you'll see that spot spread break. So you might see the Ethereum Bitcoin spot spread break down. You might see the volatility spread actually be even negative. And that would potentially set up, when you think the Bitcoin move is kind of done and dusted, that may set up as a really nice opportunity for those call switches to come back for like later in the year, maybe September, as a way of playing the ultimate Ethereum ETF story that may come later down the line. Okay, so that's kind of what I'll be looking for. I haven't got a position in it right now, but it is something we monitor obviously every week, and as and when that opportunity presents itself, we will get involved. Okay, that is relative value. Looking at skew, we said last week short-dated puts were well bid. Many traders piled into protection. Those trades were monetized as spot tested those key supports. And then we saw a major reversal back into call premium on the front-end skew. The long-term skew has been in call premium it didn't budge, but it's the front end that reacted to puts and then flipped back. So right now the BTC skew curve has got a 1 to 2 vol call premium in the front, moves to about 6 to 7 in the back. And then Ethereum is a similar curve, except for this week, this Friday is trading at like a 6 vol call premium for some reason, right? So it's been very volatile, the Ethereum front end skew. But the fact that it's gone deeply into calls, again, shows us where the potential risk lies right now, given what's going on. Okay, so, that shift does show us that people were happy to monetize their short-term correction, looking for a major leg higher in crypto here. Now, whether you want to trade it via options or not is up to you. But if you were long the underlying, having some risk reversal hedges now, again, that puts evaporated and puts a kind of flat or a discount to calls, having some risk reversal against your long holdings does make sense. It is a bit of a no-brainer. I wouldn't do it in your entire size because you don't want to get taken out of all of your longs, but in some, it seems a bit of a no-brainer to me. Okay, and then you might want to hedge more in Ethereum than in Bitcoin, just because Bitcoin may have the inflow catalyst, and that's the thing that's really going to motor to the upside. So you might be better off just hedging out your ETH because the story's kind of gone for now, and letting the Bitcoin rally play out. Basically, if you're going to be selective and not just hedge everything, then I would probably be that way around. Okay, dashboards, nothing really to speak of that we haven't already mentioned. Flows, you can see here, we've got the puts had two-way action. Obviously, puts and put spreads bought and then resold back again to monetize. Upside calls were bought in March and April as we got our dip. September saw a big clip of 90k calls go up. Those are obviously more medium term bullish bets, basically. Not necessarily looking for the leverage, but just looking to hold something. I mean, 90k calls, to be fair, they're quite out of the money, so you will still get decent leverage on that. And then we also saw a vol buyer buying the 68k straddles, taking advantage of the fact I was saying, the gamma does look like it's a bit too cheap right now, given the potential for this market to move. So someone obviously agreeing with me and piling into some straddles. Okay, so that's your flows in Bitcoin. Ethereum flows, by the way, volumes in Bitcoin were down to 10 billion, so from 14 to about 10, so quite a dramatic drop there, even though we've got some crazy price action. So it seems like volumes really explode when we just keep rallying, basically, and everyone just piles into more and more upside. Ethereum volumes did hold up better at about 6.7 billion, only down 10% on the week. Puts were monetized on the breakdown to 3,300. And then that was kind of in March and April. And then we got a big bullish clip come out on the April 4,000 calls getting bought in about 15,000 options. And we also saw on-screen buying of 3,950 and 4,000 calls in March. So super short dated calls getting bought on screen in decent size to kind of play that reversal to look back to the upside. So on the back of that, you can see that in general, we have got local short gamma. We see these big red bars on Bitcoin in the 68 to 70k region. And certainly here on the 3,500 strike, we've got local shorts, and up here as well on the 3,700. So this Friday is a big expiry. It's the end of March expiry. It's a big chunk rolling off. And in general, it looks like dealers are short the local strikes here. Obviously, Bitcoin dealer gamma did flip negative last week, has stayed there for the most part. And if we moved up to 75k, maybe it would neutralize a bit and we'd find some stability. But that's kind of the setup right now. So expect things to remain choppy, most likely. Dealer gamma on ETH did move long, but it has been drifting as we've rallied back towards short strikes. Obviously, it was longer when we were down there near 3,000. So, I think it will probably get more short. So because it'll get closer to zero and may even flip negative if we stay in the local vicinity of that 3,500 area, which is a big short strike for the dealers. Okay, we'll see how it progresses over the week. But in general, for me, it's not a setup for the market to necessarily be that stable this week into this expiry, which is why I'm saying I'd probably rather own a bit of optionality in March than be short it right now. That's the summary for this week in crypto. Thanks a lot. As always, I'll catch you guys later.